What's stoppin' dinos? Welcome back to another one of these commentary videos that I want to start doing more of. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm bored as fuck. I can't play Crossworlds right now because I've been playing so much. My hands are literally about to cramp up. So I probably need to take a break for a couple days. I've got almost 230 hours in the game. I've been playing it like at least 1 day per week, mostly multiple days per week, pretty much since it came out in like what, September? So, and I'm still not burning out on the game. If anything, I'm finding more and more reasons to want to play it more. Mostly with like the mods for this game. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. But enough about that. I've been thinking a lot lately about, well, just this series in general, but specifically like Sonic and Shadow and their sort of dynamic. And, you know, studying the way these two characters are portrayed and their dynamic in these games and different adaptations such as IDW, I've been kind of thinking about like what my ideal version of their characterization is and how I'm not a huge fan of how they're usually portrayed in the modern Sonic games. So like in IDW, for example, in like the little character profile things before each issue, I saw at one point that they described Shadow as being like a grim anti-hero rival to Sonic, and that kind of made me realize like what their priorities are for the character and how much I don't like said priorities. I don't like the idea that Shadow can't be just as much of a hero as Sonic. Like there's this one scene in IDW that I think perfectly illustrates my point of why I don't like the current dynamic between these two characters. So basically, Dr. Starline had kidnapped Rouge and Tails, and Sonic and Shadow are trying to save them. And then this avalanche starts moving towards this lodge full of innocent people, and Sonic's like, you know, hey man, come on, we gotta go save them. And Shadow, I forget exactly what he says, but he says like, ugh, as if. He says like, or he says like, I'd rather not. He says something like super pompous and just like assholey. It's like, dude, like my Shadow would not say that. He would not be like, oh, I would never. And then I think what I remember from like the Sonic Boom TV show and the games, I remember Shadow also being really bad. Like they go way too far in the whole. I don't even think you could call him an anti-hero at that point. Like I don't know. Like he's just almost like a villain with his own like motives. I don't know. Now I know it's not that bad in Shadow Generations. I do like the idea of Sonic and Shadow butting heads every so often, so I don't necessarily mind their dynamic in Shadow Gens, at least not entirely. I just hope that moving forward that isn't exclusively the way they're going to act moving forward. And I know this IDW scene and Sonic Boom stuff is not at all like modern, like that's from a few years ago at this point, so it's probably more fairly to judge it based on how they act with each other in like Shadow Gens. So then what is my ideal characterization for Shadow and Sonic, specifically their dynamic with each other? Well, I'm thinking more like Asta and Yuno from Black Clover, or like Batman and Superman, where they have like a mutual respect for each other and you almost like see the two of them as brothers, right? And I don't want them to just exclusively be butting heads all the time. I think that should only be happening for specific narrative beats, but in the end I want them to always come together and do the right thing together, and I do want them to like, for the majority of their screen time together, I want them to just be like cool with each other. Now I'm not saying that they should be hanging out all the time either, because, you know, Asta and Yuno and Batman and Superman, they're not hanging out all the time. You know, especially Batman, like he's got Gotham to protect, you know, he likes to brood in his Batcave. And I think similarly of Shadow, I don't think Shadow hates the company of other people. He has a lot to figure out and process because of everything he's been through, and I think he knows that stuff is best processed when he spends a lot of time alone. I think he really enjoys his me time, and I think Sonic is the same way. I think he also, but for different reasons. You know, he likes to go on adventures, and sometimes that doesn't always include his friends, and I think he's okay with that. I think he enjoys experiencing new things. He doesn't like being held down by being in the same place with the same people all the time. It's not that he doesn't appreciate those people. I just think he also appreciates the value of discovering new things and meeting new people, new experiences. And similarly for Shadow, it's not that he doesn't appreciate like Sonic, Rouge, Omega. I think it's just that he is trying to figure things out in his own way, and I think he realizes that the majority of the time is best spent sort of as a lone wolf. I don't think he should be pushing people away because he has some kind of like weird insecurities about like, ugh, I don't need friends. Friends are for weak people. you know, like they had been betraying him. I hate that for Shadow. So like my ideal version of Shadow is someone who will like not even remotely hesitate to go and save a lodge full of innocent people when they're about to be crushed by an avalanche. So you know how like in the early 2000s games, how Sonic, like, you know, every so often for very specific, very pivotal narrative moments, in the games, how Sonic would like give wise words to, like, you know, whichever character he was helping out. I'm not a huge fan of how more talkative Sonic is now, or I guess how much more like you know, in the moment in Frontiers with Tails is like, when did you get so insightful? And Sonic's like, I have my moments. But it wasn't really like a moment in Frontiers, it was more like a pep talk. Like, he never really gave people pep talks before Frontiers, so maybe he did, but I'm just thinking about specifically that game. I do like the character arcs for the characters in Frontiers. I just don't think it was like presented in the best way, but that's honestly a video for another time. But in regards to like the way early 2000s Sonic used to give little like fortune cookie sized bits of wisdom, I honestly would like to see the same coming from Shadow. I think not as frequently as Sonic. I already don't think Sonic should be doing it that frequently, except again for very specific pivotal moments in the narratives. I think it should come to Shadow, but even more rarely, like to where it sort of just comes out of him. And like with Sonic, I feel like when he says it, it kind of just like comes naturally to him when he says that stuff. Like I don't see Sonic as someone who's like, who doesn't think of himself as very good with words. He likes to speak with his actions, but sometimes he's like, he kind of just says things just because he's so confident in the way he feels about certain things that he just like, he'll just say them. He'll just say these like immensely wise things without even really thinking about it. And I think Shadow should also kind of do that, but maybe not so much that it comes naturally to him, but maybe like you could see, like maybe he could say something wise to someone, and then like you see in his facial expressions him being like, wait, did I just say that? Like it's more surprising to Shadow when he says wise things. I'm really looking forward to what they do for these characters in the next game that comes out. Whether or not Shadow's gonna be in that, I don't know. I kind of hope not. I kind of hope we start doing some like new things, like as I was saying with Sonic, meeting new people and having new experiences. I kind of want to see like, you know, some more original characters, especially human characters. Man, we need a human characters back in the games, dude. But I definitely do want to see Sonic and Shadow interacting again in the future. And again, my ideal version of those two characters interacting is everything I just described to you, basically. I would greatly appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of these sorts of videos and more higher effort, less frequent video essays, as well as my Twitch streams where I'm mostly playing Crossworlds with viewers, Tuesdays through Saturdays, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I stream here on YouTube and on Twitch. You can take your pick because I multi-stream. And of course, follow my socials and join the Discord if you want to keep up to date with everything that I'm up to in between videos. And as a wise Etika once said, take care of yourselves, have yourself a damn good one. Later, guys.